Once you've finished putting all your dimensions on the outside, it's time to go on the inside and decide what hasn't already been referenced. Remember, the builder just has to know where to place everything, and that includes doors, that includes openings, that includes something like a fireplace if it hasn't already been picked up to the outside or by the outside, and that would include an opening like this. You can see this is labeled, but that's a cased opening. So this is actually just a wall that runs all the way through, and then it's got a great big opening like this. Now, if you have something like that, you want to go find a family. That's all this is. It's just a family that's been inserted. And this was a good enough family that it looks like it placed the dashed lines for me. If you don't have those dashed lines, just type in DL and go find hidden. And you can always draw dashed lines over an open area. Okay, but to get back to dimensioning, once again, we just have to make sure that everything here has actually been dimensioned. And the only things that I wouldn't know how to place are the length of this wall, because the position of it left and right, that's already accounted for. But the length of it is not. The position of this opening, of this doorway, of this wall, all those things didn't get referenced on the outside, so it's time to do something about them. Now, this is a really quick and easy floor plan to do. You're probably going to have something a lot more challenging. And I'm going to do the second floor after I do this one because it has a lot more dimensioning to do. But this is a good one to begin with, just so you can see kind of the main idea. And the main idea is that I want as little clutter as possible. If I could, I'd run one dimension this way, and I'd run one dimension this way and try to pick up everything. That doesn't usually work. There's usually going to be more than that, and that's okay. So to begin, I'm going to do DI for dimension. I'm going to go to the inside of the wall, and I'll go all the way to this other end, and that's a really useful dimension right there. You know, I'd like to be able to give them a big number like that so they know 18'7", one side to the other. Oops, I did not mean to pick up the other side. If you struggle with that, you're accidentally referencing something on the opposite side, just move your cursor to a more open space. Okay, that I think is a good enough dimension that I'm going to leave it as just one big whole number. And hopefully there's space to do that. We'll find out later as we place more things throughout this space. Okay, the second thing I'm going to do is subdivide it. So there's the door. There's the wall. I'll go to the top of this one. I just pick at random, top or bottom, it doesn't matter, but then be consistent. So I'll pick the top again. And then I'm going to go back to the end. Did I miss anything? It looks like I did. So that's okay. I'll place this. Then I'm going to select it, edit the witness line so that I can pick up the opening. And that's all this is. Once again, that's just an opening. It's like a doorway, but there's no door that closes right there. Okay, and then these two become sort of together in this, right? I want to keep them together as much as I can. And it is going to be hard because you can see it's running through the doorway. There's only so much you can do to reduce clutter. You just need to be thinking always about that very thing. Is it overly cluttered? What can I do to reduce some of that? Okay, and then if these weren't even numbers, that would be my task, right? It's always so hard to make them uneven after they've been set up correctly. But my task now would be, if this is an even number from one start to the end, from the start to the end, then that means if I subdivide it, they should all be able to be even numbers also. So in this case, I'll grab this wall, and that's the one that I want to move. And I'll type in 4'5". And that was lucky that it evened out the rest of these, at least to the 1/2 inch, which is acceptable. Okay, the next thing is to look at this and say, what still isn't referenced? The builder doesn't know where to place this. He knows how long to make it because we already know this wall and this wall's position, but he doesn't know how far over it should be and within this room. So in this case, instead of running all the way across the house, because I really don't need to, I'll just put in one dimension like that. So that one's just a one-off, and you'll do that occasionally. Sometimes you'll just have to. The nice thing about running them all the way through the house is that it's easier to find a dimension. This one gets lost a little easier. But in my case, it just wouldn't make sense to run it through the house because, again, this wall, we already know the dimension for it on the outside. Same with this one. Okay, now I'm going to do a dimension on this side because we don't know where to place this door. Let's go to the center. We don't know where to place the beginning of this opening or the end of it. So I'll do that. And occasionally something like this will happen where there's text running through a wall. This isn't a really bad example. I mean, it conflicts with the window just a little bit, so I'm going to move it. Sometimes it's much worse though, and you'll know you need to move it. This one you could almost go either way. But select your dimension string, click on the grip for the number, and pull that away. And it'll have a little leader line to show what it's referencing. And that just looks a lot cleaner, right? We might have to do that again right here because we need to know what size that little chase is. So I'll put a dimension in. Just pick one side. It doesn't really matter if you want to go inside or outside. I'll go to the inside here. There's 1 foot. And then if I do that going this way, 1 foot 1/2 inch. Okay, same problem. The wall disappeared entirely that time. I'll pull that out. And does it really need to be a 1/2 inch? Because it takes up more room, right? If I just make that 1 foot, then it's easier to fit my dimension. And I'm guessing that the 1/2 inch isn't necessarily necessary inside that space. Okay, the only things that I have left now are any doors that haven't already been referenced. So I might come over here and consider putting a door to the center. I want to fix that. 1 foot 9. This door is already referenced. Don't worry about it. This door isn't referenced, but there's another video that I want you to watch. It's posted with the helpful videos. It talks about dimensioning doors, and I think this one is centered inside that space. So I'm not going to put a dimension string on there. That's what the other video talks about too. How about this one right here? I don't have anything to show the distance of, where from here to here that wall needs to be placed. Now that, again, that could have been on the outside, but since it's not, I'll just do a quick dimension across. I'll go outside to outside, and I'll run it through to here. And I don't know why this is there. Sometimes it's nice just to show them here's the width of your stairs. So you know what? I take it back. I'm going to leave that in there. That's the opening for the stair width. And it's a separate dimension string, and that's okay. All right. And that takes care of it down there on the main floor. Looks to me like everything else is taken care of. Okay, my next video will show how to do this up on the second floor.